Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Sunday Brunch. I am Chris Parrish, your beloved Love Wrestling Elite Champion, and I am here to welcome each one of you to Sunday Brunch. Thank you very much for joining us, and alongside, I've got an abundance of friends. But over here, we got Alex, Ecto got 87. Alex, how are you doing, my friend?
I am doing well, and we use that term friends loosely around here when it comes to talking about me and you.
That's why I did quotations. And then we also have returning back from his vacation and also from a great workout as I got to see his nipples yesterday. Zach, how are you doing?
I am never going to live that down. I just popped in to upload a clip. I thought my camera was off, but the rest is history. Good to be returning to the brunch gimmick.
Well, let me tell you, I know who you've been learning from, and we'll get to them in a second. But first, we'll get to Bobby Munson, who is wearing some nice-ass shades, I must say. He's also mute as hell right now.
He is muted.
You got no sound there, Bobby.
We good now?
Yeah, there we go.
There we go. Sorry, everyone. Yeah.
Man, he can see like the wind, but he can't hear nothing. Bobby, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic, especially now that you guys can hear me. Yeah, it's great to be back on Sunday brunch 3 weeks in a row now. It feels like home at this point.
It sure does. And popping in the chat, we got Ed who couldn't make a look at this Motley Crue. Actually, I was about to wear a Motley Crue shirt, so that's actually quite ironic. But we also have Cody, my partner in crime from yesterday. Cody, how are you doing, my friend?
We're getting really good at this, Parrish. We seem to be on all the same shows together, but this is my first time back on brunch in a while, so I made sure to bring my cereal and my morning drink and ready to go.
Yeah, one person who's not missing it is the natural Astrid. Hello to you, Astrid. And then Faber's like, where is the love man himself? Well, you know what? When you beat him for his own company's title by predicting his own favorite wrestler to win, he just doesn't want to show his face anymore. No, I'm just kidding. He actually has a gig announcing for RCW here in Edmonton, Alberta, so he's getting ready to host another one of their shows. Had a fantastic showing last night. So, yeah, he's a working man. That is where Spenny and his Jets are. But, yeah, Alex, I got a little word that you got a video.
I do.
I think this is breaking news. I think this is news worthy for Love Wrestling. So could you go and play that real quick? It is quite lengthy. Girth, we like to say. We're all about the girth here on Sunday Brunch.
If you'd like to cut it to it, I'll get it started.
Yeah. Hold on 1 second. This is just coming in, so we have but before we do that, I mean, we can't forget good old Lauren. So what up, fella nerds? And, but yeah, and here it is right here, I believe. So play it if you can. Can you put audio on?
You don't have audio in there?
I don't know. Is there audio? Well, we might. We have some audio, so I'm just gonna remove that right now. Ed saying I hear
what
nothing.
I think might be happening. Yeah,
well, Zach, you are a wizard.
Not to get too. Well, we're screen sharing from Alex's screen, but I think the audio of our streaming of our conversation here is circumventing the audio of the video in question. That's my theory.
Yeah, it could be it. So I mean, the botch is on Alex. Well, we can all agree. No.
We may have to figure it out. I don't know what's going on with that. So.
Well, I don't know if we heard that, but that was Spenny's Jets, I believe, right?
There he goes. There he goes.
Just flying right over Zach's head.
Yeah. Maybe one actually here. Maybe shed some light on this issue.
Yeah.
Real Canadian Goose, honk, 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 y'all.
Can we-
Holy crap. Goose, don't do that to me first thing in the morning, bro. I haven't even drank yet. I am just heading home from the IPPV in Manitoba. I hope that was well. So before we kind of get back to that video, because we will get back to that video, Cody, you and I, along with Astrid and Ed yesterday, had a very intriguing question to end the show. Zach, yeah?
Sorry, just before we top that, Mighty Joe has actually popped in. He might be able to shed some light on the issue regarding the video, as he is here at this very moment.
All right. There it is.
Mighty Joe.
Welcome aboard.
Hey, what's going on?
We got a six-pack.
What's going on, guys?
Woo!
What's going on?
Six-pack to begin Sunday. I love it.
Oh, he's not much yourself. We're struggling to play your video right now, unfortunately. We're gonna give it another go, but perhaps you can offer a few bullet points and let us know what's going on, what the big news is.
Well, make sure you're sharing the audio when you're playing that. Maybe that's why it's not coming through.
Hey, I don't want to point any fingers, but it's Alex.
It's when you go to share, make sure that if you're sharing the screen, you have to make sure that's share audio.
There's a little box there. Oh, there's a little box that says share audio. Who knew?
Oh, look at that. And you get the six of us on the side now, too.
All right, we can try this again.
Let's see if she works.
All right. Live TV, folks. We did not plan this.
Hey,
I
Pat, we're
swear.
live.
And one thing that right off the hub that you'll notice that a lot of the hype and a lot of the really kind of cool stuff that we've been mentioning is not coming from the WWE.
No.
That I think it is a big deal that WWE now clearly needs to start paying attention. Up until this point, and they've said it themselves, that we do not see AEW as competition. That is clearly not the case anymore. The AEW is now clearly legitimate competition. Fight me if you disagree with me on that. The other thing here too with this is, as cool and as lightning in a bottle as this Cardona cage thing is, let's be perfectly honest with each other here, Carl, and everybody listening and watching. The majority of the buzz is coming from this potential with Daniel and Punk. Okay, the majority of the buzz is coming from that. The stuff with Cardona and Cage, very, very cool. But remember, this is a niche audience. The visual there kind of betrays the actual numbers. Let's be perfectly honest with each other. Long term, but the other catch here with this as well here, Carl, is twofold here. We consume our wrestling content very, very different from how we used to before. Not just you and I, just in general. A lot of people catch matches on YouTube. I'm guilty of this myself. Not guilty, it's maybe not necessarily the right word, but I consume a lot of wrestling now on single match basis. Life is busy. I don't always get to sit down and watch an entire 2 or 3 hour program of wrestling, to be perfectly transparent with everybody. Not for a lack of wanting to, just for a lack of time. And the other factor with that too is with this younger generation. And we had talked about that where we have seen some instances of younger fans getting interested in wrestling, but with some forms of media out there, not to necessarily point the finger too much, but places like TikTok and whatnot have killed the attention span of the younger generation. So then to ask a group of people that consume their content in very small snippets, to have them sit down for a 2, possibly 3, possibly 4 or like you want to get into like New Japan big shows like 4 and 5 hours, you're asking a lot from people who have very, very short attention span. So it's tricky to draw in that new upcoming audience because the way that they consume their social media, their other media when it comes to movies, TV, and all this kind of stuff, it's so different from when we first started being wrestling fans, like watching like in trading VHS tapes and watching Raw and stuff on television. Well, that landscape has completely changed. So I think that the key is going to be to define like whether it's characters that really that the audience can relate to, or just the actual nature of the content itself. Like this ultra hardcore wrestling fan or wrestling kind of stuff is not going to appeal to that younger, short attention span audience. It's just not going to, right? So that's going to be the real key kind of going forward, is to develop a wrestling product that's going to appeal to that non-wrestling fan audience, or that young wrestling fan that's looking at this kind of stuff now and going, hey, well, that's kind of interesting. I mean, do I want to tune into that? Do I not? Excuse me. That's going to be the real key to grow this wrestling audience from this like 1 million to 2 million plateau that we've kind of hit with professional wrestling. Whereas like in the Attitude Era, we were up into that 4 and 5 million. You know, in other professional sports, we're up into double digits of million numbers, right? Oh, yeah. So if we can find a way to really get that, then we can really leapfrog into mainstream attention in mainstream media, right? That's, I think, what the ultimate goal should be. I said a lot.
Yeah, you definitely did, and that's okay. I 100% agree with you on every point that you made. Yeah, like it's just at some point, 100% I feel that it will get back to mainstream. It definitely will.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a pop culture phenomena again at some point. When? I don't know. My lifetime? I don't know. But at some point, it's definitely going to happen, and it is going to be a glorious day when that happens.
All right, that was the video from the Turnbuckle Talk. And Joe, since you're here, do you want to shed some light on why that was such an important milestone for us to play today on Sunday Brunch?
Well, that's because we're bringing the video version of Turnbuckle Talk to Love Wrestling. Pure and simple. That's what's happening.
Absolutely huge news. You guys do amazing work, amazing content right there. So if you guys have an opportunity to check out Joe and Carl on the Turnbuckle Talk on that visual episode, please do it, because they are two minds that actually are amazing, beautiful insight. Sometimes, you know, they gotta look at things a different way, because you know what, we all can't look at things the same way. We're all not going to like the same things. We got 6 people here who, you know, like wrestling a little bit differently. I know I was going to get to a question, but let's get to something else, because we've had a big I think we had a big week. Zach's just having a little bit of connection issue, so I'm just going to remove him right now.
Before you get to that, Parrish, I just got to say, you guys, thanks for having me on briefly here. Have a good rest of the show, and I'll see you guys later. All right.
All right. Well, as soon as we get Zach back, we are losing Mighty Joe. Mighty Joe, thank you so much for joining us and popping in.
See you guys.
And that was it. So I'll just start with this. What has popped in our minds in this last little bit of pro wrestling for us? Because we are absolutely living in an abundance of pro wrestling. Some of the most amazing things I think have happened in pro wrestling in a while, in just the last, I would say, 10 days. Kevin Faber coming in and saying, I watched them, glad they were coming to love wrestling. We are absolutely pumped. I mean, Zach, I know I saw you without a shirt on yesterday, but I can only imagine they can cut glass because of excitement today that Turnbuckle Talk is now a part of Love Wrestling. But yeah, I'll throw it to Bobby. Bobby, like in the last little bit, what have you been most excited for with pro wrestling? Because it's a good day to be a wrestling fan.
Yeah, and I got to say, it's been all NWA for me this week. It's been all about their pay-per-views this weekend. Empower last night was a great watch for me. A lot of great things that came out of the action last night. This has been their week, and man, did they bring it last night, and I'm looking forward to what they can bring tonight as well, too. It's been awesome for the NWA.
Yeah, and it only seems fitting that we throw to our NWA expert, Zach. Your kind of takeaways as you drop your mug.
Excuse me one moment.
We're just on point today, aren't we?
Yeah, I believe that is Zach's water breaking. But no, NWA just had the power yesterday. They have 73 tonight. I know you're doing another react show tonight with the 73. Can you kind of just shed some light about NWA? And for anybody who's maybe not watching NWA, can you let them know why it's so important to watch the National Wrestling Alliance right now?
For me, like, it's a throwback to the kind of wrestling that I very much enjoyed growing up. Like, you know, when I think of my favorite wrestlers, they're the likes of Mr. Perfect, they're the likes of Bret Hart. And if there was like a modern incarnation of Bret Hart or Mr. Perfect, you would get Bret Hart matches, you would get Mr. Perfect matches from the NWA. I love what other promotions are doing. I love how they style their matches, but NWA is just exactly what I grew up on. And to echo what Bobby said about last night's presentation of Empower, wow, what a great show. I want to, like, especially the Impact Championship match between Melina and Deonna Purrazzo, and the NWA Women's Championship between Camille and legit Layla Hirsch. Wow, I have not been lost in wrestling matches like those two for a while. Absolute wonderful contests. And NWA 73 tonight, they have a tough act to follow. And this is what I'll leave it on. Yes, it is a pay-per-view, and yes, it's a bit of an investment. But one, I don't know if I want to call this a strength for the NWA, but you could, in theory, just jump in tonight for the pay-per-view and not really miss a step. Like, it's they kind of throw these pay-per-view cards together. You're going to get great matches, but you don't necessarily need to have been following these past few weeks, these past few months to enjoy tonight's broadcast. That was the case for last night as well.
And folks, that is what we call passion. I'm just going to throw that right out there. If you can't tell the passion that is Zach coming out of the NWA, I don't know what can. They are doing some fantastic work. Just absolutely fantastic. Their show yesterday, which was an all-female, all-women's card, by the way, and perfectly named, by the way. But yes, yeah. Some of the best pro wrestling, not just female wrestling, but pro wrestling. I believe Chelsea Green even held out a sign saying, this isn't women's wrestling, this is professional wrestling. Very proud of every single one of those ladies last night. They made a statement in the world of pro wrestling. I'm going to throw it to you, Alex, because I know you've been watching. Just since you've been with Love Wrestling, you've been watching so much more wrestling. Have you had any chance to watch Empower, or are you going to watch 73 tonight? And what are you looking more forward to? And I really feel like tonight's show should be, or really is going to be, a lot of promoting NWA, as we tend to do on Sunday Brunch. But I mean, we don't talk enough about NWA, and we definitely should. So anything that's catching your eye with the NWA, especially tonight.
We go back to talking about, this is a style of wrestling that, a lot of us kind of grew up on with the early NWA or WCCW or early WCW, stuff like that. Like, I grew up kind of watching Arn Anderson and Ole and the Four Horsemen, kind of that kind of stuff. Granted, yeah, I may not be old enough to have watched it at the time, but it's what I developed into watching and then coming into more of what we call modern wrestling. It's great to see this style of wrestling, this kind of studio style of wrestling, get a exclamation point on the world that we have today, because you have stadium, you have these arenas, but when you have an intimate setting like NWA Power or Empower, it brings so much more to it. There's a bit more passion, there's a bit more love going into it because you're right there, and it's great to see all that kind of stuff going on.
Cody, we're going to throw it to you. We know we obviously talked a little about NWA yesterday, but definitely not enough. We ran down the card for Empower, but before that, we'll definitely get to Wordsmith right now. One strength on Power out will be the return of the Woodsmith. Be ready. I mean, you know what?
He will indeed be reacting to NWA 73 with me this evening.
I mean, I don't think I'll disagree saying that is definitely a strength. You guys do some great work over at Power Out. Can't wait to see the return of the Wordsmith. One of the, if not the most intellectual man to ever grace Love Wrestling, the wordsmith. Astrid also commenting, great pay-per-view, and Kevin Faberson, Kong's retirement was a surprise to me, but yeah, I think this is definitely one that we're very sad to see, but we also are very happy that she got to do it on her own accord. And I think it's very telling that somebody gets to retire on their own accord. Zach, I'm just going to throw that. I'll throw this back to you first, but Cody, kind of same question to you. Like, what are you looking forward to with 73 tonight if you're planning to watch it? And what did you think about Empower last night?
Fortunately, still haven't been able to get through the entirety of Empower yet. I caught up on the majority of the stuff. The Kong and Gail Kim retirement there was a neat way to do a retirement ceremony and a really kind of heartwarming segment in the middle of the show. I did catch the finals of the tag team tournament and got to see the Hex and Red Velvet and Kylan King. That was a really, really well done match. I actually have both of the championship matches queued up to watch as soon as we're done here on the brunch today. But, I've unfortunately not been able to avoid all spoilers, but excited to still see those matches and see how they play out. And as for tonight, it'll probably be more of the same where I'll catch up on the clips and the highlights afterwards.
Yeah. Zach, we'll just go to you. Awesome Kong, I think, definitely deserves a moment to talk about because she has been not just a fantastic pro wrestler, but over her career, she's definitely broken some walls just by even entering the Royal Rumble match. I remember that's something that absolutely blew me away and just how dominating she actually was. Can you just shed some light more on Awesome Kong and just the career that she's had? Because I know you followed her a long ways.
Yeah. This is actually something we kind of talked about last night on Power Out. I mean, like, how could you not? Speaking with Astrid and Out in the Ring director Ry Levy last night on Power Out, we were saying like this was like a really nice feel-good moment for Awesome Kong. It would have been nice for her to have like a match, a big send-off, and everything, but life happens, real life happens, and unfortunately, that was rendered impossible. But the way they honored Kong in a feel-good moment with one of her fiercest rivals, an angle that like put Impact Wrestling, particularly Impact Wrestling's women's division, on the map was between Gail Kim and Awesome Kong. So the fact that they did the segment as they did was just really well done. And I think that also speaks larger to how NWA last night, as much as they were respecting, their history and everything in Chase Park Plaza and everything, they also took the time to really celebrate other promotions. Like Awesome Kong doesn't really have deep roots in the NWA, as far as I know. But like to do a big send off for Awesome Kong, wrestling mainstay and legend, I think that really speaks to the respect that NWA has for other promotions and how much respect Awesome Kong carries.
Yeah. I think you just said it. If I think of NWA, I think of the word respect. I think that is probably one of the best. If it's not that, then I think it's a blue collar. And I really much like. I'm very happy that Billy Corgan has reprived this NWA, just to kind of give us this platform again. But staying on course with Awesome Kong. I mean, who wouldn't have wanted to see Awesome Kong in China? Like, if that's not a dream match for the female, I don't know. Maybe that's a good idea. Like, who would be a dream opponent for Awesome Kong if you got to see it for one night, like a one night thing? We'll go around the board. Zach, I'll end with you. Alex,
Yes.
What's your dream match with Awesome Kong?
Oh man, I come back to me. I'll have to think about it. It's an interesting question. There's a lot of female talent out there that you can put with anybody with her. So
All right, but Bobby, we'll go to you next.
I'm going to say Charlotte Flair. I mean, she's hands down one of the best women's talents inside the ring. I think she could have worked really great, strong match with Awesome Kong. It would have been a nice send-off as well, too, to have her go up against who would be one of the top women in the world today, kind of thing. And, size-wise, the two of them fit really well together at the same time, too. So, I mean, there is that aspect of it. It would be fantastic. I like Charlotte as a worker, and Awesome Kong's fantastic. So I think that match could have paid off well.
Cody.
I'm going to go off the board here a little bit, possibly. You guys might be a little surprised. I'm thinking somebody who's going to match up with her size-wise, but more recent generation that could have really learned a lot from being in a ring with Awesome Kong would be Havoc. I think Havoc is doing some really good things as like a larger woman in the wrestling scene and really kind of coming into her own right now in this team with Rosemary. And I think she would have been a really interesting person to put with Awesome Kong to learn from her, but also to match up really strongly with her.
Yeah, the wordsmith coming in saying, give me Abandon versus Kong. I mean, would not be too bad with that. I know, like, personally, if I was to see someone who could probably learn a lot from Awesome Kong, given the size nature, I would love to see Nia Jax pick up some advice from Awesome Kong. I think that would be a great mentor for Nia Jax. But Alex, you nodded, so
you must have read my mind, because I was definitely going to say Nia Jax. She could have definitely taught her a couple things, given her a little bit more of a direction as to how she could have been in the ring. I could also, maybe even say an Alexa Bliss, because they have that dynamic as like a Gail Kim, Alexa Bliss being smaller and Awesome Kong being the kind of the bigger size. They could have meshed pretty well, I think.
I'm gonna assume, Zach, those are your jets. As he's mouthing off, sorry. But you know what, Zach? You can make up for it, I guess, with more jets.
I had to unmute myself eventually.
We're still in terms of this topic, what is flying through your head about the perfect dream opponent for Awesome Kong?
Oh man, I'm a big sucker for like last matches to be against like a storied rival. So I think Gail Kim is like the easy answer, and could be a good send off for both of them. But after last night, man, I'll tell you who had a coming out party and I want to see more of. So when I think of Dream Match, instantly I want to see more of her. Legit Layla Hirsch. Last night, like, I didn't really see much of her in AEW thus far, but this was like a coming out party for her. Like, I am like fully patched in, and she's someone I would really like to see take on Awesome Kong. That's top of my head there.
Yeah, I'm very happy you brought up Layla Hirsch, because I thought she again stood out. She's been standing out for a while now. She is absolutely phenomenal in so many ways. I think Astrid is a fan as well. But that is someone who I think in 5 years, I don't necessarily think the NWA is going to be a powerhouse in pro wrestling necessarily, but I do think it's a great platform for the women to go maybe somewhere else. So happy Dara coming in. Hello, missed you. Glad that you're here. I know you're always here for Sunday Brunch, so I'm very happy. And then Astrid just, 10 levels of excitement on that one. But where would you think Layla Hirsch could end up wanting because I just don't see her being an NWA lifer all the time, like for her entire career. But where do we see if she is to take it to I don't want to say take it to the next level. I feel that's too disrespectful to NWA. But if she was to go to a different limelight, like, is she a good fit for AEW? Would she benefit more from a WWE? Where do we think? What is the true cap for Layla Hirsch?
Man, Layla Hirsch and Shayna Baszler right now just popped into my head, and I can't not think of that as a dream match for her. So ultimately, like, everybody always dreams of going to the E at some point in their life growing up into wrestling. Like, all of these people that are in wrestling right now at some point had to have dreamed of getting there. So I think Layla is one of those people who really, really could benefit and grow from being there. But I also just would love to see her stick in kind of that crossover between Impact and AEW too.
Yeah. Bobby.
I mean, yeah, I like the idea of her bounce between Impact and AEW. And actually, MLW starting their own women's division coming up as well, too. So, I mean, there's be another fit for her to go out and test her skill up against some others. I mean, another plug for MLW this week for me. But I'd like to see some names like that pop up over there. They're going to need some stars in order to escalate the women's division for themselves as well. And I think after last night, she's proven their ability and her talent, and I think would be a great fit for them.
Bobby, I'm just going to tailgate off that one. You are mentioning MLW. I know how much of an MLW fan you are. Who is the one person in the MLW female division that you want people to say, keep an eye on this person?
They actually haven't even revealed the division just yet. It's revealed that it's going to happen, but it hasn't really gone forward with who's going to be a part of it just yet. So new tapings in the new season are going to be starting up quite soon. So hopefully we'll know more about the women's division over in MLW. Court Bauer just recently stated on social media that there will be an MLW Women's Championship that they're working on as well too. So a lot of great things to look forward to from them and that division coming out.
All right, Dara, Amazing is asking, hey, are they still doing MLW Fusion? Bobby, I'll let you answer that and maybe give Dara a chance of where she could find it.
Yeah, so as you probably already know, MLW Fusion was running regularly on YouTube. They took a season break there to give everybody a bit of a rest. They came back with a show just recently. They did the tapings for the Battle Riot, which you can find on YouTube as well. Court Power has alluded to the fact that they are going to be joining up with a new streaming service. He says that everybody shouldn't be worried if you're used to watching it on YouTube. It'll be readily available still. Episodes of MLW Fusion, I believe they're going to be starting taping up here again very soon.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I feel like we're Google. We're just bringing people to the information. So, I mean, we could be the Google of the pro wrestling scene here. Come on. But Kevin coming in, I got the dream level kind said hi. I'd love to call a match for Ring of Honor. I mean, who wouldn't, to be honest? I think that's a real question. And then also coming in saying WWE would be cool, but I definitely don't fit the ideal model of what they'd want for a rep. We're talking females. We're talking Layla freaking Hirsch right now. Stop putting yourself over. That's a completely different show that I definitely would recommend you checking out at some point. And then, there's very thanks. So thank you, Bobby, for helping Dara out there. Alex, we'll go to you. What would be your ideal scenario for Layla Hirsch if she was to move on from the NWA?
Of course, somebody said Shayna Baszler. She could do, anything with the WWE. And of course, there's also the talks that she's going to be doing more with the AEW, so you have all sorts of possibilities there. Maybe even a size comparison, you can have her versus Ruby Soho at some point, or even Britt Baker, just anybody that they could possibly put against her.
Zach, before I go to you, I'm just going to throw out this one because I would love to see it. I'd love to see Layla Hirsch and Io Shirai. I think these two would actually gel really well. Plus, I just want to see more Io Shirai, to be honest. I don't like what she's doing with Zoe Starks in NXT. I think she just deserves to be a top caliber on Raw or SmackDown if they're not going to, have her in the NXT Women's Championship scene. So that would be mine. Zach, what would be your dream scenario for Layla Hirsch? Or maybe you do want her to stay in the NWA long term. What is it? And I believe you also have a video coming up for us.
Yeah, for Layla Hirsch, I think, I think she's a blue chipper. I think that the All Elite Wrestling needs to just lock her down, keep her around, keep investing in her because she's gonna pay dividends down the road. I think she's only gonna get better because that was just really impressive what I saw from her last night, and I want to see more. I think. She could thrive anywhere she goes. I think she's that kind of talent. But it's going to be a matter of keeping her in one promotion or at least a home territory and really just building her up from there. More appearances in the NWA. Hey, I'm going to welcome that. But I don't blame Tony Khan for wanting to. I won't blame him, Tony Khan or All Elite Wrestling for wanting to keep that a talent as good as she is in their home promotion. It's great that she made the appearance at NWA, but if it's a one-off, it was a hell of a one-off. But as alluded to, Parrish, we do have a bit of a clip, and on a week in which Love Wrestling was kind of riddled with technical difficulties, it's actually kind of appropriate what we're talking about in this clip. This is from last night's Power Out, because also NWA was subject to a certain technical difficulties at the start of the show. Unfortunately, the technical difficulties continued once the official show started. Top of the show, we get to listen to Mickie James, Grown Ass Woman, pretty much on loop for a good 5 or 6 minutes. All the while, we hear Joe Galley screaming for Billy Corgan. Billy, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Billy Corgan? Which is just going to be ringing through my head for a long time.
But can't find Billy Corgan. Where's Billy Corgan? Corgan? Billy?
All the while, just a black screen. These things happen. They're a little more regular than you would like for a paid subscription service, especially a pay-per-view. But that is what it is. Didn't prevent me from enjoying the show because they kick off strong. Yeah, that was once again Astrid and Rye Levy joining me to have a little bit of laughing at the NWA's expense before we enjoyed one hell of a card. Billy, Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Billy Corgan?
Is that not going to be a meme now? Maybe.
I hope so. I hope it catches on.
Man, I mean, Billy Corgan is absolutely a stud. Who would have thought 20 years ago that the lead singer of the Smashing Pumpkins revitalized the National Wrestling Alliance? I mean, absolutely amazing. I mean, Billy Corgan, too, like for all the people didn't know, also ran a company out in Chicago as well. So he is very much, and then obviously his infamous stint in ECW. You know what? Here's the thing. I'm gonna go. What has been our favorite Billy Corgan pro wrestling moment? Zach's like,
give me a moment. I'm gonna. I don't know if I can screen share it. I don't want to risk it, but just look up Billy Corgan furniture commercial on YouTube. You're gonna laugh. It's and yes, this is wrestling related. Don't worry about it. But check that out on YouTube. You'll thank me later.
Cody, what like when you think Billy Corgan pro wrestling, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
Didn't he have a stint where he tried
friends,
to
I'm
run
sorry
TNA?
to interrupt. I'm actually going to have to... I am sorry to interrupt, guys. I just want to say goodbye because I'm out here on my balcony. It's starting to rain hard. I can only protect my equipment so much. I will see you guys very soon. Have a great rest of brunch.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Zach. We very much appreciate it. And then there was 4.
Didn't Corgan try to run TNA at one point? That's the only memory I have of Corgan in wrestling is he tried to take over TNA from Dixie and failed miserably.
Well, it wasn't so much a fail as it was he invested a bunch of money that he believed was him taking over most the shares of TNA wrestling. And it was actually the company that screwed Billy Corgan in the end. It was kind of a dirty deal that they pulled, and he ended up with no ownership over the company, which made him then go and pay for the rights to the NWA, which caused him to revitalize the company.
Yeah, because that was the time period where TNA and they had kind of the invading company too, right? Whatever.
Yeah, I think it was around there, yeah, for sure.
I forget the name of what that company was that they had, but they had the two feuding companies on TNA TV.
Talking about Global Force?
Yeah, I think that's correct. Global Force.
Oh, right in the chat. Perfectly timed.
Yeah.
Couldn't script this better.
Hey, we know our stuff.
Alex, right then and there, what would, like, if you were to think Billy Corgan, like, I mean, this is pretty surreal to think Billy Corgan is just absolutely turning pro wrestling upside down right now, especially with the job he's doing with the NWA. What's been your favorite Billy Corgan pro wrestling moment?
So I can't really say it's been my favorite, but so I live in Notre Dame, Indiana, only 2 hours away from Chicago. And so Revolution Pro, which was the company that he had there, was a big name mainstay out of Chicago. And I had several friends of mine in the independent wrestling scene take a trip over there. Some of those names I'm not going to quite mention here, but I have heard stories, pretty funny stories about how Billy Corgan presented himself in the backstage area. I'm not going to go into it because this isn't a slander, but just hearing some of those stories was my favorite of the whole thing. So, yeah, maybe we'll talk about it one day.
I mean, that's the shit. The guy is a legitimate rock star.
Yeah.
And let's not be honest. Smashing Pumpkins are just one of the most iconic bands. I mean, for us, to be honest.
But the phrase "Don't meet your heroes" is kind of the thing.
Well, I mean, you know what? I have bowled with Billy Corgan, and he was nothing but just a sweet, gentle man with me. And I don't even remember how we did because we just had that much fun. So I had a positive experience with him. But yeah, I kind of just want to stay on the topic of the NWA because I know it's something that I don't particularly know a lot about, but I think, they deserve the credit. Ric Flair is coming back to the NWA. Talk about full circle. Seeing Ric Flair in a position just to be around the 10 pounds of gold. I mean, how fulfilling and validating from a true wrestling fan is this moment going to be? Because, I mean, it's a title that he just grew up on before he became, embedded with Big Gold. But yeah, let's talk about Ric Flair returning to the NWA. What are we thinking about that before we kind of tackle down this card? Forum open. I like hands.
Well, it's huge news. It's great to see. I mean, Ric Flair was a staple of the NWA back in the early days of professional wrestling. The man from Charlotte's going to be around Sweet Charlotte, the 16 pounds of gold once again tonight at NWA 73. It's going to be wonderful. I don't know what capacity they're going to use him in tonight, but it really doesn't matter because he brings such a stardom to NWA 73 this evening. People are going to tune in just for Ric Flair. I swear there's people that would be willing to shell out the money to go and see what Ric Flair does tonight. And it's going to be phenomenal from top to bottom. No matter what capacity he's in, I'm looking forward to his arrival.
Yeah. Cody, we'll go to you. Just kind of like your thoughts, Ric Flair back in the NWA. Fitting?
Yeah, it's obviously a homecoming of sorts, right? It's all the time he spent there initially. Fans nowadays obviously associate him a lot more with his time in WCW and WWE, but it's cool now to see end of his career going back to where it all started and getting back to his roots and finishing out on his own terms in his own way.
Yeah. And Alex, I know you and I both come from the performing stages of pro wrestling. It's really hard not to respect a guy like Ric Flair and just understand how iconic of a performer he's been. And honestly, one of the most trending figures outside of pro wrestling during his life. Kind of just your thoughts of the NWA coming back full circle with a Ric Flair.
Let's just put it this way. There would not be an Alex Race or a Chris Parrish without some of these big names out there. And Ric Flair is definitely one of them. You go back to watching his early NWA days, him and Harley Race, him and Dusty, Steamboat, and then you go to WCW, and then you go to a small stint in WWF and then back to WCW. If you're talking professional wrestling and people who belong on a Mount Rushmore, Ric Flair is definitely one of those names that needs to be there. And I hope we kind of get that, Army veteran who had his uniform and then lost that uniform and then getting it back kind of moment when we see Ric Flair and the 10 pounds of gold in the same place and he just gets to hold that one last time, kind of thing. It's going to be, a full circle for him. Probably one of the greatest moments that they can have on the show tonight.
Yeah, it's so hard to say anything else to what you just said. I think you put it just well there. But yeah, NWA 73 is live in the St. Louis, Missouri area tonight. Planning on watching it. I know I'm planning on, following it tonight. I just want to talk a little bit about the card, but before I go and maybe read off, is there anything specific any of us are looking forward to in this show? Bobby, we'll start with you, who I think you just went in to make sure that you got it ordered, right? Before you came. Yeah. But we'll start with you. Anything that just gets your eye like right away when you're looking at the NWA 73 card tonight?
Nick Aldis. It doesn't matter what match the guy's involved in. I think Nick Aldis is one of my absolute favorite in all of professional wrestling right now. The way he conducts himself as a champion, it's a real throwback to the way champions were in the NWA. His title reign has been nothing short of phenomenal. It has been just excellent. And hey, he's going up against Trevor Murdoch, who's also a great talent as well, too. There's a great story that's been told between the two of them. So this match, I believe, is going to live up to all the hype, and I'm very excited for this one.
Yeah. Cody, anything that, kind of just be like, oh my God, can't miss this. People, if you're not planning on watch this, make sure you watch this because of this.
I think just following up on last night, we talked about it on yesterday's React show, the possibility of Camille losing to Layla and then maybe Layla losing again to the winner of the Invitational today. Well, now we got Camille coming in still the champ, but we've got Chelsea Green coming in as another solid, strong opponent that she now has to face on a second night in a row. I'm really looking forward to seeing Chelsea Green and Camille follow up on Camille and Layla.
Yeah. Talk about heating up. Those females of the NWA are absolutely about to set an inferno on the National Wrestling Alliance. This weekend's just the beginning. But Alex, we'll go to you. What is your must-see match of the NWA 73 card?
Must-see match, I'm definitely going to say Aldis and Trevor Murdoch. These guys have been going at each other back and forth for a little bit. And with this stipulation that if Murdoch doesn't win it, correct me if I'm wrong, if Murdoch doesn't win it, he is leaving the NWA.
No.
So it's definitely going to see what they do with this. Do they keep the title on Aldis and keep that streak going? Or do they give it to a guy like Murdoch and, build up his legacy?
Yeah. Anytime when you got a match for a championship against a career, you're going to see, I hope, some of the best storytelling you could possibly will see. Because I remember even going back when you look at other career matchups, even when, and this isn't going to hold candle to this match, I know that, but when we saw The Miz against Dolph Ziggler and Dolph Ziggler put up his career, that was one of the best Dolph Ziggler performances of the recent in a while, in my personal opinion. They're just, something comes out, and I have a feeling Trevor Murdoch is going to have a performance of a lifetime against Nick Aldis. I really do think this is the end for Trevor Murdoch. I don't think he's going to take this, but if he does, the story, the moment, the magic that these two will create is just going to be something that, if you're a true pro wrestling fan, this is a match you have to see. But I'm also going to kind of go in a different light. I want to see Mickie James versus Kylie Rae. That match to me is going to really, really help elevate Kylie Rae, in my opinion. I think Mickie James has absolutely been a godsend to the female division of the NWA. And what she's been doing, kind of revolutioning, or just the pro wrestling era away from WWE with women right now, is just, it is absolutely amazing. And I think WWE needs to take notice of what's happening away from their brand, because there is some good stuff there. So it's just going to be absolutely fantastic to see how this match goes. And another one that I think really needs some justice is Chris Adonis versus James Storm for the NWA National Championship. I have nothing but amazing feedback for James Storm. I think that guy, I would have loved to see him in WWE. I really would have. I would have loved to see him and Bobby Roode tag again. Those guys are tag team magicians, in my opinion. But Chris Adonis is really coming in his own now with the NWA. And that match is just, I think that's my dark horse for a show stealer. But to kind of go into other matches here, we do have the NWA World Tag Team Champions with Aaron Stevens and Kratos, who are defending their titles against La Rebellion, consisting of Batista 666 and Mecha Wolf 450. We also have the Brawl in the Lou, Theo Lattimore versus Crimson versus Tim Storm. Tim Storm, that's I would love to see him against PCO, because those guys, no matter how old they get, they just keep going and going and going, and they're fantastic. And then we also have Tyrus, the Masked Man, and Jordan Clearwater versus Pope, and the end consisting of Odinson and Perro, and then of course you got the NWA Women's Championship. And because somebody below me didn't watch it, doesn't want spoilers, we got the Camille Layla Hirsch winner versus the Invitational Cup winner.
I already talked about this, Parrish. I knew you would. Plus the fact you mentioning. Oh no, never mind. You did say it right. I thought you'd actually gave away that Camille had won it too. I'm like, wait, you're not spoiling, but saying Camille, but no, you said Camille Hirsch.
So anyway, yeah, you just thought I said a name. But yeah, no, man, this show just looks good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And like we are kind of almost talking a full hour here at the NWA. I mean, I don't think anybody would expect us to talk a full hour of the National Wrestling Alliance, but given the fact that we are seeing so many people getting released, are there anybody that we would like to see join NWA? Like, do we think there's going to be any surprises, any maybe debuts to the NWA tonight?
I'm trying to remember who they've got left that they could pick from still. So
the pool is too large. That's the problem.
Yeah.
You know, all I can pick out is the big names, the ones that we already have plenty of rumors going around of going to Impact or AEW or things like that. There's a lot of smaller names out there that I can't even pick out off the top of my head, that there's plenty of opportunity for somebody new to pop in and show up.
Yeah, I think at this point, it's give us anyone.
Bronson Reed, how about that one?
That would be a good one. I'd like to see him against Tyrus for sure.
I don't know that his 30s there yet, is it though?
I know, probably not. So it's almost an impossibility, I'm sure. But
one guy I would love to see is the old Heath Slater. I think he'd be a great fit for the NWA. I just think that guy, man, him and Nick Aldis would just be a nice match. But also just give him a platform. Just give him a platform to be him, wrestle. That guy is just an absolute treat to watch, and just didn't get the serious push with WWE because he was just so good on the comedic side, to where I feel he just got pigeonholed too much. But man, he, if anything, was like when we saw him when he did his last match with Drew McIntyre and then the TNA. Man, that guy looks jacked. He's taken this to the next level. And another guy I'd like to see would be EC3, to be honest. I think EC3 would be an absolute perfect man to take that NWA World's Heavyweight Championship away from Nick Aldis. But
I just want to piggyback off you there for a second, Parrish, because you bringing up Slater gave me a better idea.
Go right ahead.
Little Mr. Perfect.
Joe Henning.
Yep.
Yeah. No, that'd be a great one as well. Something I would have loved to see Harry Smith actually not join WWE and go there, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I mean, how cool would have been? I mean, to be honest, I'd love to see Bryan Danielson. Just give me one Bryan Danielson NWA match. Him and Nick Aldis would put on a clinic, and like a true pro wrestling clinic.
Yeah.
Bobby Fish for me just seems like he would fit the mold very well in NXT. Man, he's just, I don't know. And again, like I always said, like give me the FTR in there. I know their contracts aren't even close to being up, but man, to me, if those guys don't bleed that NWA style, I don't know who else does.
Yeah.
But yeah, before we get there, I know Zach does have one last clip. And this was kind of I want to say a little bit more of a heavier clip, because they are talking about the late Joseph Hudson here, where he's talking with Joe Gully. And it is to make sure, just remember that Smart and Friends, as one of Zach's babies, going to become more of a regular showing here on Love Wrestling. And this is one of his interviews with Joe Gully talking about the late Joseph Hudson. So
Risk of kind of like heading toward bringing this podcast at more of a somber tone, I feel it'd be remiss if we didn't take a moment to discuss Joseph Hudson, Josephus, the question mark. Again, not so much a question. I'm just wondering if you want to take a moment, express any thoughts you have on his absence in the National Wrestling Alliance.
Well, we feel it every day, and he comes up, and everyone's got a Josephus story. Everyone, because he was so enigmatic and he was so creative. And I remember one time, our first set of tapings at GPB Studios. Joseph was there, and for whatever reason, there was a piano in the hallway. It was probably for some other show that just needed a piano. And he sits down and he's just playing beautifully on this piano. And one of the other wrestlers, somebody came up and sat next to him. I can't remember who this was. I might be retelling their story, as a matter of fact. But nevertheless, they sat down and they said, Joseph, is there anything you can't do? And without missing a beat, he said, have a successful relationship, and just kept playing. And it was just, he was so quick and he was so funny, and he was such a good dude to be around. And, we all miss him. I'm super glad that we have the Mongrovian flag hanging in the NWA arena, as it should. And he'll always be a part of our history. And there were so many great moments. I mean, if you take a look at that empty arena match, which was well before COVID, so we were way ahead of our time on that one.
Pioneers.
Between him and Tim Storm, those guys beat the crap out of each other in that empty arena. And so, there's so many big moments that he's always going to be a part of. And we carry him in our hearts, we carry him in our minds. And, and going forward, everything we do, we know he's looking down, and we know he's smiling. And
I mean, absolutely touching just to hear someone talk about a late friend. Amazing interview Zach had with Joe Golly. So if you have an opportunity to check that out, please do so. Zach is not just a workhorse, but he's an absolute stallion that one Matt Riddle would like to call people, but a stallion to the Love Wrestling brand. Just countless hours that guy is putting in. And on top of that, we do have one last video of what you can expect this coming week on Love Wrestling. I'm going to play that right now as we do have Josh Robinson doing, Legacy of Asuka. We got an NWA Power Out 73. We got, again, Power Out, the mind behind an NXT War Report. We got Turnbuckle Talk, Mark and Friends, Between Two Beards, Quizplex. Make sure you check out Quizplex this Thursday. I believe you're going to have an absolutely abundant. I think this is like a reunion of champions or something like that. So make sure you check out Quizplex there, as well as we have Inspired Headlock Tail Podcast, Love Wrestling Rags, Blowing Off Streams, Sunday Brunch, Science Says, and more, but I think that's just about everything. And then we also have Poetry of a Promo there on Monday, and a Love Wrestling interview with Spencer Love on Monday. Go check that out. That guy, I mean, talk about just putting in the work. Spencer Love, if it wasn't for him, we all wouldn't be here. But because we are, where can we find everybody on that social media? Alex, we'll go to you.
Oh, man, it's always the same old, Ecto Guy 87 on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Steam Games, Epic Games. OnlyFans is back up to doing what I can do best, so, I'm going to be there.
There's no more that needs to be said about that, but Cody. We'll go to you.
Hey, man, I got to make money somehow.
Got to pay them bills.
Yep.
I know. Every month there's these gimmicks that come in our mailbox. They're called bills. We got to pay them.
Yep.
I hear you loud and clear. Cody, where can we find you?
Always on the Twitter at Cody Defoe. Just recently updated, and now you can find me on Twitch at the same handle at Cody Defoe. Not streaming there yet, but hopefully soon we'll have something showing up on my Twitch channel with wrestling related, gaming related. Who knows?
And Bobby Munson, where can we find you? And Yeah, talk. I know you're involved with the local wrestling promotion there, so please shed some light on that as well.
You bet. Yeah. So, I mean, you can catch my work doing commentary with my co-host Papa Smokes for our company, Prairie Pro Wrestling. Fortunately, we haven't been able to do anything new as of just yet, but hopefully that'll happen soon, and we'll be back on the commentary side. You can also go back, check out our old work with HIW Canada. We were on the commentary team there as well. That's all up on YouTube. And as always, our Ring Respect Radio podcast right here on YouTube as well, too. Great time talking about old style wrestling, so join us for that. And yeah, just shout me out anytime. I love to chat wrestling. Anybody who wants to do that, reach out to anytime.
Well, the one thing I do want to ask, what does that sign say right behind you?
Oh, right behind here. Okay, so I auditioned for Between Two Beards, but I was rejected due to my lack of facial hair. So, yeah.
I mean, if Spencer Love can be on the show.
I keep trying to pitch that I got a better beard than Pluggo, so I should be filling in for him whenever he can't make it, right?
Yeah. I'm just saying. I mean, I know Spencer Love pays the bills around here, but I mean, it's between two beards, and I think between his beard and somebody else's beard, there's called, I don't know, puberty or something. I don't know. I mean, I just know there's something that causes you to grow some facial hair. And
I'm going to start a show called Between Patchy Beards, if that works out.
You and Paris would be great.
Between the 3 and 4 o'clock shadow. But yeah, no, between two beers, man, just buy a fake one. I mean, or just just take a Sharpie and just Hitler stash up. I don't know.
Some coloring.
I'll just Photoshop it for pictures of myself.
Yeah, let's just go on Zoom or something, and then let's just get one of those little crops that just puts a fake mustache on you. You might as well.
Between fake beards, there we go.
Yeah. I mean, come on. We don't use that F word here in the world of professional wrestling. But what we do use is the words called thank you. And we want to thank every single person who came in on our chat today and was involved and invested. We appreciate that. We also want to say thank you to our beautiful sponsor, RK Athletics, for just being there for day one. Because you know what? When I was talking about Zach and seeing him shirtless yesterday, I could tell that he was absolutely embodying the fitness that Rich King laid out for him using RK Athletics. And if you want to follow RK Athletics, you go to RK Athletics 1. All over the social media, he is putting up absolutely great stuff, whether it's tips, trains, advice. There you go. Change your lifestyle. It works. He has one of the best physiques in pro wrestling. I mean, you don't listen to somebody who has a worse physique than you. That's just an old wives' tale. You want to make sure you go to RK Athletics and get the good stuff. So I just want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Just join everything. Make sure you watch us, rate us. Go to our shop. I mean, we also like money too, so make sure that you're paying some money. If you have a little bit of shop, if you want to, buy a sticker, buy a mug. Sunday Night Brunch. Do you have your custom mug there, Alex?
I do. Hey, there we go.
Everybody needs to rock a Love Wrestling fanny pack.
Yeah, and that's just it. So and we also have beautiful shirts. I think there's going to be a new print of shirts coming out. I believe that's in the works, people, because we sold out because everyone is just, in the words of Spencer Love, neat for buying all that stuff. And then I know that there's a beautiful coloring page of the custody of Dominic Mysterio that Zach put out, which is absolutely terrific. But for that, I'm going to wish you guys adieu. We are going to take off. Enjoy the rest of our Sundays. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Please make sure you stay safe, treat everybody well, and always love wrestling.